Oh my goodness. So what other shows have you had going on this week? Obviously you're at Jocks every weekend, but like, what has been going on?
So January has been a little bit slow because everybody is like trying to think of new concepts and everything.
Yeah.
So
Dry January.
dry January. But every second and fourth Monday is the show, The Stroll, Drag Stroll, that JP and I co-created. So that has been consistent over 3 years. So if you ever go to Jocks and you want a new stage, that would be the place to go. You can sign up every first and third Monday, and then if it's your first time ever doing drag, you're pretty much automatically guaranteed a spot to perform. It's 20 person limit, so you get, a good show. It's a great variety. It's a great space to allow people to do what they want, try new things, and feel safe and comfortable doing so.
Love it. Yeah. We love the drag stroll here. We do. Hi, MT.
Hi, JP.
Hello, Chicken, and welcome back to the Chicken Coop, your backstage pass into the ever-changing world of drag production. My name is Bossi Boots, back once again for our 10th episode, believe it or not. Very exciting that we have made it this far, so thank you for listening for 10 episodes and more. We're going to keep going, trust me. We have so much more to cover, but today we're going to dive right into it. Today in the Coop, we have one of Boston's most well-known and well-respected community members. He's a resident DJ at Jocks Cabaret and has DJ'd for several of my shows personally. He is a co-founder of the Drag Stroll, which is an open stage drag show, the elite stage manager of Full Spin, and a full-time sweetheart. Please welcome DJ PJ.
Hello.
How are you, PJ?
I am so good. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here on my first ever podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, well, this is the thing. This is exactly what I wanted to do with this podcast, is start to bring in people that normally aren't like in the spotlight all the time. Like perhaps their face isn't on the flyer all the time. Like who are the people behind the scenes actually making shit happen? And if there's someone that's making shit happen, it's you. For sure. So tell us a little bit about yourself. Who is DJ PJ? What do you do in the Boston scene in regards to drag?
So for me, I am a sound technician first. So I learned how to manage audio, learned how to manage sound, through self-taught processes as well as relying on other community members.
Sure.
Begbic, I will absolutely give a huge shout out to Nate /Begbic. They were my old roommate when I first moved to Boston and have showed me so much love and support and has answered any questions that I've ever had and has been there for while I was growing, so that way I could be that person for other people.
Yeah, Begbic tends to be a good teacher. Begbic also taught a lot that Miss Harlow Havoc knows. That's another person who I name drop every single episode, I swear. Hi, Harlow. I know you're watching.
Hi, Harlow.
But yeah, Begbic definitely is a huge name in the scene, and I think it's great that you're able to learn from him, and I think that the DJ community, at least from what I see, is very willing to help each other out.
Oh, absolutely. My biggest thing is to build community because we're not here to be against one another. We're here to build one another up. I don't look at myself with other DJs as competition. I look at us as a community that is working hard to ensure that our community has what we need and has the support and the sound that we want. Because everybody's niche is different. If you've ever seen me live mixing or live DJing, you're going to know that I am that queer pop boy. That is what I do. Yes. That is what I do best. I love staying current. I love that new shit. That's what I do.
Absolutely.
Like at home, I'm a very chill, introverted guy that loves to just hang out with my cats, smoke weed, and watch my favorite show, which is Gilmore Girls.
Yeah. But yeah, well, you mentioned the live mixing thing. If you haven't heard PJ live mixing, one, you should book him to do it. But also, you should come to eventually, at some point, I'm sure this will happen again. PJ tends to fill in for Drag Me Out Thursdays, which is the show that I host at Man Ray every first Thursday of the month. When Harlow has to do something else, PJ tends to be the one to come and save the day. So yeah,
Yes.
You've done an excellent job. That was your first time like live mixing like in a club setting, right? At Man Ray?
Yep.
That's so cool. I'm proud of that.
Honestly, I love live mixing and I just like to have fun with it. I never pre-plan sets, so literally everything that you hear from me is from my heart. It's live. It's what is happening in my thought process in the moment. So when you're listening to a set by me, just know that I'm feeding off of your energy in the crowd. I'm feeding off of what y'all are giving me. If there's dancers and go-go's, I'm looking at them. I'm matching them. If I think that they're going to rock out to a song and they're going to really be able to, hit it and make that money, absolutely, I'm going to do it. I watch and I pay attention, and I think that separates me a little bit from other people because I don't just play what I like. I play what the crowd also wants to hear and what I think is going to be a fun time.
Yeah, that's a huge thing that you bring that up. I would love to hear a little more about your perspective on that. I guess you just kind of explained it, is that, I feel like a lot of people just go to clubs and they're like, oh, like there's a DJ, there's this, there's that. But I think a lot of people underestimate the power of a good DJ and just how much they contribute to a vibe of a night. They contribute to the energy in a room. I definitely think exactly like how you said that there's so much more importance and so much more levels with music than people think that there is. So like even if it's just like, oh, like, no, we didn't make the songs, but we know how to layer them to make energy and make a memory and for people for years to come.
Exactly. Think of it like Shrek. You know how Shrek says that that they're like ogres are like onions and they have layers? So are DJs. DJs are like onions and we're like Shrek. And if you've seen my booth at Jocks, you know that I do like Shrek. So I like to use that analogy because we have so many layers. There's so many things that people don't realize that we're doing that we're actually doing.
Absolutely.
And it's little things like just looking around at the crowd to see if they may go for the next song that I'm about to play, or see if they don't really go for that next song, what can I do in that moment to change it and bring the vibe up to, to match that energy.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so I like to use that sometimes because I think it's fun.
I love that. It's so funny that you mentioned that. And the reason why I'm like so excited to chat with you too is because this is sort of the start of my DJ journey as well. Miss Harlow Havoc brought me into her house the other day and she showed me some of the ropes and then sort of just let me have at it with her board. And there I was for like over an hour just trying things, like messing with the knobs on the boards and figuring out what everything does. So sooner or later, you may have another devilish drag DJ in the city because God knows we need another Havoc doing that. But but yeah, no, I guess going on, I think something that I would love to talk about too, because we've talked about this before, and the reason why I love having you in my shows is not because, like, you obviously understand, like, just the importance of being a DJ in a space and, like, how music affects people, but you also really understand how to be a good DJ versus a good drag DJ. Like, specifically for drag shows, there's a certain type of beat that you need to have and a certain type of professionalism. What is some advice that you would give to people who are like trying to DJ for drag shows? Like even if it's like during the show itself, like when you're doing mostly like the sound teching for it, what are some things that you notice are effective when going into DJing for a drag show?
So for me, and one of my biggest things is I do have a traumatic brain injury and I am also openly autistic. And so for me, it's communication. I need to have clear communication with my producers and with the folks that I'm working with because that allows me to really bounce off of them and know what exactly they need and what they're looking for in a show. After working with so many folks, like I start to remember their levels. I learn how to bounce off of them. I learn how to pretty much make anything work. So if something was to happen, I know for a fact we'll make it work. And I feel like a really good example of this would be like Patty Beret. Hey, Patty, I love you. So Patty and I have worked together at this point for years, and she is one person where I've learned to manage her levels. It's not even a question of, oh, I need you to do this. It's, I already have everything set for you. I already know exactly what you need. I know how to bounce right off of you, and we make it work. It's about being open to like understand and also like be there for that person, because you're not just the DJ in the booth managing the sound. I'm not in there just pressing play. I'm in there actually managing and mastering that audio live as it's coming through my screen.
Absolutely.
And so that's what separates me a little bit, because I'm actually managing the bass. I'm managing the high frequencies and the lows to make sure that everything sounds good. And that way our speakers don't blow, because not everybody knows how to do that.
Whoops!
And so it's not even honestly a read. It's just the fact of, Jocks, we don't have like a separate team that manages just the sound where the DJ can be the DJ. It's nope, that is my booth to where I do everything. And that's why it was so important for me to learn audio first before I just jumped into being a DJ, because if you're going to be a DJ, you need to know how to manage your sound, because if you don't, it's going to sound like shit and it's going to be clear.
Yeah, absolutely. And, even on top of like the whole mastering, like I have to say, every time that you're behind the booth at Jocks, you can tell that you have that system down pat, because we love it at Jocks, we do, but they don't exactly have like Radio City Music Hall speakers. We're not working with the most professional sound system there, so we got to make it work. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, but when you're behind the booth there, I can always tell, because it always sounds great. But I think aside from that too, I think you have a very good understanding of like pacing of a drag show. And I think that comes from the communication that you were talking about too, because there are so many...
It's all about timing.
Oh my God.
It really is.
I could talk about this for days, PJ.
We could talk about this for days.
The amount of awkward timing that some like sound techs have that you could tell have never DJ'd a drag show. When, from a hostess experience, one of the worst things that can happen, I'm sure you can relate to this, is dead fucking air.
Oh,
dead
absolutely
air in a show.
not.
Oh my
It is
God.
not allowed. If I am working any of your shows, if we are ever working together, dead air is not allowed.
No.
It is not a possibility, and it is not okay with me. It does not fly. And I always communicate with folks, even if it's our first time working together. If you want to come out at a specific time, I will match the music to end at that time. Like, that's what I do. I will literally make sure that that music and that song ends at that time that you want to start. So that way you have a clean start right from there and you can start talking. Guess what? If you're not ready to start talking, that next song is going to start playing, because I'm not going to sit there in dead air.
Exactly.
And then you can come out, and then I'll turn the music down once you're actually on the mic.
For sure.
Because it's not fair to the crowd to be sitting there in dead, awkward silence. And it's also uncomfortable as fuck for me, because I'm like, I hate this. And then people look at me as if it's my fault. And it's like, nah, I'm just following what I was told.
I think to piggyback off of that too, I think that, pacing and like obviously like no dead air, but like again, this goes back to communication. And I think it also intertwines with almost like a hospitality sense as well. Because think about it. You're at the nightclub. If you're at Man Ray, at Drag Me Out Thursdays, you do this, Harlow does this. Like, I feel like most people who understand like how nightclubs and drag shows work as well, like when we start talking on the mic, it's just like, yes, we want the song to end the second that we start yapping into the mic, because when there's that dead air, think of it, you're dancing in a nightclub, it's dark, there's lights. When all of a sudden it's just silent in the club, what a fucking vibe killer.
It's so awkward.
Awful. And it's happened. I've seen it happen every now and again. And it's like, yikes. So, it's one of those things where, like, I'm glad that we have that understanding, too. And this is the part that, we've worked together quite a few times that we both understand this, is that for those of you who are trying to produce from both a hostess and a DJ standpoint, please get the timing right. Take the time to communicate with each other. Take the time to have an understanding of how the night should flow, so that way you don't look confused, because looking confused and lost is not what people want. Like, there's this saying in hospitality. I come from a restaurant background as well. This is why I get to talk about hospitality. People are genuinely just confused. People want to look for answers. So when in hospitality, you are supposed to go above and beyond to help people, but you as a producer should have that sort of hospitality sense within yourself to go above and beyond to make sure that these awkward moments don't happen so that people can enjoy their night without a pause. Because that brief moment of like 2 or 3 seconds can really change your night.
Absolutely. And I feel like too what a lot of folks don't realize that they have as an option, use an overture. Drag Stroll, we've used an overture pretty much from the start. It's a great way for people to know that the show is starting, so that way they can get to their seats. It's a good way for them to, just be prepared. And it also allows the hosts that extra minute to get themselves prepared, do those last minute touches. And it's pretty much introing the show. It's like just something stupid. It could even be a regular song, like for Drag Me Out, before the show would start, I would do gag on it because that was
absolutely.
The song that you would do for all of the posts. And it's a song that people recognized and affiliated with, okay, the show is about to start.
Yep.
And so it brought people closer to the stage. It made people pay attention because they were like, oh, okay, this is how we, this is how we know.
I think that is some insanely good insight, though. So if you're a hostess or you're an aspiring to be a drag host or a drag DJ, communication with each other is key. Don't let it get awkward. I think that's the biggest takeaway there.
And also remember, we're a team. We are working together. We are working collaboratively to make this happen. This isn't a separation. It's not just, because I'm in the booth, I'm separate. Because I'm matching you. When you're on stage, I'm watching you to make sure that everything is as good as possible. So that way I can make sure that everything lines up exactly how it needs to be and how it should be. And so it's like, I want people to realize that when you are booking a DJ, when you are working with a DJ or somebody that manages sound, that is a strong collaboration. And so, definitely take the time to have a quick conversation with them, get an understanding, make a list if you need to of here's the things that I'm hoping for throughout this show, or these are the things that I would like if you could do that. So that way we can have that clear, open communication right from the get. Because the last thing that I want to do is let somebody down or not give somebody what they're expecting.
Yeah, absolutely.
And all because maybe they didn't communicate it or they didn't know how to communicate it.
Yeah, for sure.
If there's one thing that people should know is that I'm one of the easiest people to talk to, and I try to be one of the easiest people to work with, because how I look at it is when you work with me, everything sound related should be taken off of your back. Yeah. I try to take that backpack off of y'all so that way you can focus on the things that are actually important, like hosting your show and producing your show.
Yeah.
Because that's already enough. You don't need to worry about the sound aspect of it as well. That's why you have me.
And, I can attest to that. I think that you've been wonderful to work with. But then again, that's also because I do my homework as a producer, too. For those of you who don't know, I'm gonna take a deep dive into this about exactly what I do, because I think it's important to know. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think what I do is pretty straightforward. What I do before each show, some people don't have to do this. Some DJs don't mind getting the music sent to them and they'll organize it how it is. But I usually make drag artists send their music to me, and then I organize it in a folder and I literally label it with the show order, people's names, what show it is, and the date of the show. So that way, both I know that I'm not getting anything messed up. I know what show it's going to, where they are in the show, and then I literally put it on a physical paper document with the name of each file in order, and I print that out and bring it so that way the DJ has a physical copy to look at. So that way they're not going back to their phone or going into an Instagram chat trying to scroll back. I just think that personally for me, it's easier to have all of that prepared for you. So that way I know that I can not worry about the sound for the rest of the night because I did my homework. So correct me if I'm wrong. Does that help?
Oh, no, it helps tremendously. And I want people to know that isn't always necessary. Everybody does what works best for them. Yeah. I'm perfectly happy with a handwritten lineup. I'm perfectly happy with people sending me music directly. Honestly, I feel like I have one of the easiest deadlines. Honestly, as long as I have your music 15 minutes before the show, or if it's mid-show and you're like, oh, I want to change my number, if you send it to me, I will do whatever I can to make it happen. Yeah. It takes me 10 seconds to download one track. It's just when I have 12 people that are I want to change it, that's when it gets a little bit tricky because it's like we're already starting the show.
Yeah, don't be that person if you can help it. But
and also, I would always recommend that if there's a deadline for a show and you're not sure what you want to do, don't send a track. Just wait until you're actually done and you know what you want to do and then send the track. I would rather have it be late than have to go through a bunch of emails being like, oh, actually, this isn't the track that I really want to do. I'm working on it still. Because I don't want to download something and then next thing you know, it's the file gets mixed up. Like, I don't want that for y'all. Like, I think it's important to make sure that everybody is on the same page and that you're getting what you're not only expecting, but what you want. And so I think it's really important to just have that clear communication. You know, we're not trying to harm you. We're just trying to help you.
Yeah.
And I feel like some people just have like that trouble of understanding that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Some people feel like they're being a bother when it's not. Mm-hmm. It's like, you're not bothering me. I just want to make sure that you're happy.
Yeah, to continue off of that, I think that it's really important, even from a producer standpoint. Like, I completely agree. Like, I would like shoot the producer, shoot the hostess, whoever is in charge of that, a message, be like, hey, I really just need like a few more hours, or like, can I send it tomorrow? Like, just making that open line of communication. No one is ever going to be like, no, you can't do that. Like, or at least for the most part, I won't do that. I've had the amount, especially, I think the people who send me their tracks the latest are like some of my closest friends. Marilyn Malibu, I love you, Marilyn. I'm so sorry to clock you like this. Marilyn is always one of the last people to send me stuff, but I also don't bother her because I know that she's going to get it to me. So, you know, when you're able to form a close relationship like that with people, some people get they get the pass every now and again because, you know, it's like we know that the track will come in and we know that you just sometimes need time for that. And I just think it's so funny that whenever somebody's like doesn't send their track, I'm like, oh, who hasn't sent it? Oh, literally one of my closest friends.
No, and that's what makes it funny. I feel like like at this point it's just funny for me because I'm like, a deadline is a deadline.
All you can do is laugh,
but honestly, it's like, I just try to be flexible. I used to take it so personally. Fun fact, this is the autism talking, by the way. That like I used to get so upset when I would like set a deadline and be like, "Oh, please have your music to me like like a day in advance, just that way I could make sure it was done." Because I used to do it all at home before the show.
And a day in advance is not unreasonable. Let's just be perfectly clear. A day in advance is like totally normal deadline.
Yeah, like send it. You could send it to me at 11:59. Like, I don't care. It was mostly just making sure that I had everybody's stuff, so that way I could communicate with the producers, make sure that everybody is on the same page. But then, you know, it would constantly be, oh, I need more time, or people would just send it the next day. And I would just get like so upset about it. Like, why don't people respect me? Or like, why is it so hard to just send a track over? Or even just send me the name of the track and I could download it too. It's like, just let me know. And so I used to take it so hard, but then as time has gone by, I've just gotten so much more lax. And that's why I just have like my 15-minute deadline now. I'm like, get it to me 15 minutes before the show. We're good. Like, easy as that. Like, I've learned to match the community and just be chiller as time has gone by. It's been a few years, and I'm just like, okay, I just go with the flow because it's not harming anybody. There's no need for me to get upset. And it was something that I needed to rationalize. And this is nothing for anybody out there in the world to take personally. As, like I said, an openly autistic person, I do get upset sometimes, but it's not at somebody else. It's just sometimes
at a situation.
It's situational sometimes. Absolutely. To where it's like, how can I rationalize this and understand that it's not my fault? Yeah. And that, you know, other people have lives, other people are busy. Like, I understand that sometimes a deadline is hard to hit. And, you know, that's why I've just kind of opened it up and just been like, if you need more time, shoot me a message. So that way we're all on the same page, and that way it's good to go. Yeah. But honestly, at this point, I'm like,
all you can do is laugh sometimes. Drag is crazy.
At this point, I'm just like, send me your music, whatever. I know. Like, but you got my email.
You know, you have so much experience with sound teching and with DJing for shows, but you also have more experience besides that. So I would love to talk about your roles that you also have in other behind-the-scenes roles, such as specifically stage managing at Full Spin, which we've talked about before. We love Full Spin here.
I love Full Spin.
Yes, we've both worked backstage for that. So
Well, yes.
tell us a little bit more about your role at Full Spin.
So when Full Spin started, it was all online during COVID.
Yep.
It was started by Magenta with a J. Shout out Magenta.
Hi, Magenta.
Miss you. Hope you're doing well in P-Town. And so it was all virtual. And then once COVID started dying down, events started going live again. Magenta and JP decided, okay, let's bring this over to Crystal Ballroom.
Yeah.
And
Such a good venue. Such a good venue.
It really is such an amazing venue. And so, ever since the first live, Full Spin, we kind of all started collaborating and decided, okay, here's how we're going to do this. Like, if you've seen Full Spin, whether digitally, like a replay, or have been, that show is typically nonstop until we get to an intermission point, and then we continue right from there. So for that show, I pretty much have about 5 to 10 seconds between every single number. And that is just pretty much as the person's number is ending and the next person's name is popping up on the screen. I have that small amount of time to pretty much clear the stage, preset the stage for everybody, and make sure that all of the money and everything is clear off of that stage. Yeah. And so that is just a really strong collaboration that JP and I have as, ongoing business partners because we've started the Stroll together. JP, honestly, shout out to JP. That is one person that is not only the realest, but also one of the most important people in my life. We have worked together through so many things, and I don't think that, honestly, it's easier to work with anybody besides, JP is the easiest person for me to work with.
Yeah,
because we just know one another and we match one another so well. Yeah. And so it's just like, I know that JP knows that they don't need to worry about anything that I'm doing on my end, and vice versa. And if we need anything, we're going to be right there communicating. Love it. And it's not even a question of what's going on. That trust is there. We trust one another. We love one another, and we got one another. Absolutely. And that's the thing too, folks. Like, when you're creating shows, think about your production team. Think about the people that you want to work with, that that you can have that strong collaboration with, to keep it strong, especially over time. It makes a big difference because when you're working with people that you're comfortable with, that especially in like a skeleton team, your production team, it makes a big difference. When you are out changing your production team every single show, it can cause for chaos. And I'm not saying, you need to have the same DJ for every single show, but
consistency is good, though. That's the thing.
Is good.
It's what helps make shows better with time. Because if you think about it, if you bring back a lot of this, at least a lot of the same crew members, a lot of those people are already going to know how to function things. So chances are things will go smoother, and any kinks that needed to be worked out the first time aren't going to happen the second and third and fourth time or the fifth time. And if something does happen, you'll be able to correct the situation efficiently. And, especially with Full Spin, I think I literally just thought of this too. It's almost borderline very theatrical, the way that it works with the stage managing that you do there, because when you do a scene change in theater, you also have 5, 10, 15, maybe 20 seconds of overture, whatever is going on with the music, to reset the stage. And I've been there with you, as a stagehand, going out and moving a giant air mattress for Violencia onto the stage.
Yep, which was the biggest preset that I ever had.
It was crazy.
To have 10 seconds to clear the stage, bring down a full air mattress, move a nightstand,
set up a whole bedroom,
preset it so that way she could do one of her Alanis Morissette numbers. Yeah. I want to say it was Alanis Morissette.
It was, yeah.
And so it's things like that where it's I take the time to preset that. I had that bed made standing up, so that way literally all I had to do was run over drop it. It was a fully made bed. Her robe was right there, ready to go. Like everything was exactly how she needed it. And it's all about knowing the performers, like asking the performers, doing those texts, like being there to make sure that you're answering any questions.
Writing down a note.
Exactly. Like I always make sure that like whoever's there with me doing stagehand, and also for myself, like I always have a lineup to myself that is handwritten that I keep in my pocket and on me at all times.
Yeah.
And then there's multiple lineups as well that are posted throughout the space where performers are going to be. So that way they are aware of not only where they are, what they need to do, what their cues may be, but also so that way it makes it easier just in case they need to change anything. I go through and ask every single performer, do you have any presets, cleanup, anything like that? Even if it's, I'm just taking off my jacket, I need to know because that is something that I need to look for so that way I can be prepared because think about it. I'm running out on stage when it's essentially pitch black for like 3 seconds and then only have maybe 5 more seconds, if I'm lucky, to be able to clear everything out and make sure that everything is there. So if it's something that, you don't communicate to me and I don't know, I don't want that, that piece of clothing or something like that to be on the stage for that next person's number.
Yeah,
what if they're doing choreo and they have 4 other people in their number, which happens, and then next thing you know, someone slips or they have to go out there and kick it out of the way. That whole entire show is recorded every single time because we do digital playbacks. And if you watch it, you'll see me running back and forth. But you don't want to see people going out there and like kicking somebody else's clothes out of the way or anything like that.
And stuff like that too. Like sometimes, like when it rains, it pours. Like it could be like a safety hazard, but also it just goes to show like the care that you have as well, just like the knowledge that every performer deserves a clean slate on stage.
Absolutely.
Like I think that that's super important to highlight too, is that like we're not just doing it just to do it, just because like that's the standard that we hold ourselves to, but it's also because it's like everyone deserves to have a good time on stage. Like this could affect somebody's performance in a way that you don't even know. So it's just like trying to really be considerate, and I think that that's something that's really unique about you too, is that you have a really good understanding and care. And this takes me into my next topic, actually, is that I think perhaps you understand a little bit more than the average person is because you've also done drag.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about your drag persona.
So my drag persona is Crinkle Cut. Crinkle Cut has been alive for almost a decade at this point.
Oh my God. Wow.
I started back where I'm from, back in Providence. Started at Dark Lady and Ego, would go to the open stages, would work with, monumental folks like Lily Whiteass and Kira Stone and the original Ego girls like Complete, Annie, Pulp, like would really just go out and have fun. And it was very different back then, where a lot of people would just get in drag just for community. Like we would all just get up in our zhuzh just to go out and just to have fun. It wasn't even about necessarily performing. It wasn't, I need to get in my face because I have a gig. It was, I want to get in face just because I want to go hang out with my friends.
Harlow included, my drag mother. I think I've talked about this on this podcast before too. Harlow is from the Lowell area where I'm from, and she used to tell me like back in the day, she used to get up, go in drag, and then like their goal would be to be able to afford a 4 for $4 from Wendy's.
Literally.
So like if you got $4, it was a successful night. So yeah, like I've done it before too. Like I've just gone out in drag just to be in drag and be in face and have a good time. Like you don't always have to like have a gig or something. Like granted, like yes, drag is expensive, and like when you have those paid opportunities, it's great, but it is also really fun to just go out and just be you in the community. Like it's a way to take things as like practice, get to meet and interact with people. Going out with no pressure of performing is one of the best fucking feelings on earth. I love going out when I'm not working.
Absolutely.
It's one of my favorite things. It really is.
And then also too, it's like, think about it. You're in a full face. If somebody drops, guess what? That could be an instant booking for you.
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
You're already in face, honey. Guess what? Somebody drops last minute. Hey, you got a song you could email me? Hey, do you think that the DJ could pull this song for me? Guess what? Now you got a space
you never know.
on the stage. You never know.
Whether it's like if you take the initiative or if you just happen to be there and then the host wants to give you that opportunity. Like the small opportunities like that are even bigger because I think that showcases your versatility and your flexibility of being able to perform on a dime.
Exactly.
I think that's something that I don't get to see a lot of, but I have seen it a few times recently. I think I'll shout out this performer at the Splash Zone, hosted by Brooke Poole. Hi, Brooke.
Woo! Hi, Brooke.
There's one performer who kind of did that recently. Somebody dropped, and this person sent me a track just in case. And that person is Allegoria LaCave. Sent me a track, and Allegoria ended up performing. So it was one of those things where I like sat back and I was like, oh, damn, I feel like I haven't seen this in a while. So I would love to see more of that happen. Honestly, from a producer standpoint, please come out and face like. You don't have to, obviously, but like I love it when people do. It honestly is like a huge sign of respect to me. Like I feel humbled when people come out in face and they're not working. Like I love seeing like the other queens and kings and things coming out to support it. It really does make my night.
Honestly.
And
like thinking about it a decade ago, that's a long time. For a lot of us, it was
a lot of things changed.
We did drag just for fun. It wasn't about money. And, obviously as time has gone by, things have changed. And so now it is a very money-hungry, money-dominant run, situation.
It's very competitive.
And,
it is.
And that's why, there's different things that we could do. Like you mentioned, doing drag before for a 4-for-4 because that's how it was. Honey, you
So
went on stage
yeah.
and guess what? You could turn it, do backflips, you could do your splits, you could do whatever. And guess what? You still might only walk away with $4 or $5 because that's just the way that it was back then. And it all very much so depended.
Yeah, and like not all drag also has to be super expensive. Like Forever 21 drag still counts every now and again.
It was a thing. No more fucking H&M. But honestly, sometimes you have to work with what you have, and it doesn't hurt to be resourceful.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm not gonna sit here and be like, oh yeah, I've done drag for almost a decade, and I have this giant wardrobe of shit because I don't. I'm a very like king thing. Do whatever I want. Like
absolutely.
So it's like I'm not going to go and spend $600 on a costume because I'm not doing the same thing that, other performers are doing. I don't do it as consistently as, as other people. So it's not as, it's not as important for me to be like, oh yeah, I need to make sure that I have a closet full of, like for a drag wardrobe and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think in the last like 2-3 years I've known you personally now, I think I can count on one hand how many times you've been in drag. So it's like that's exactly it. Is that like you understand the community so well because you have that experience, but also I think you do a very good job of like knowing like exactly where you stand, and I admire how comfortable you are with that too. I think that it shows in your day-to-day work, and I love that you still like hold an appreciation for it, and like you still, I feel like it's almost like a lost art form for like the type of drag that you do, where you do it as a means of like just sheer enjoyment and just going out to do it and not going out to
it's all for
get
fun.
The paycheck. Yeah,
all for funsies for me.
Especially if you're doing drag full time, like I understand, like it can be really hard to have to even just try and have those nights because you value the days that you're out of drag more than you're in drag at that rate.
No, absolutely.
So, but even like this is just like personal advice for me. Like even if you are doing drag full time, like take the night to go out and face, or take the night to just go out support somebody else's show. Like I know that those opportunities can only come every now and again. It's because we are hustling. It's a very competitive industry, especially in the Boston area. It's crazy,
especially in Boston.
Yeah.
And remember too, it's like when you are practicing that self-care, when you are just going out of face or anything like that, you're also supporting your community, and you're also showing that these other people that you care enough to go out, that you want to be out. And, that's even something that I'm trying to be better at doing, and going out on my off days, because obviously it's a little bit more difficult, for the times that I work and being able to go to other shows. And if I do have a night off, I do try to prioritize my family if I can, see them.
Certainly.
And then, I do try to go out to other events, as I can. And obviously I know that I could do better, but I always try, and I think that it's so important. And it's not even about, oh, I want to go out so that way this person sees me and wants to book me. It's, I want to go out to support the people that I care about. These are people that I work with, frequently, whether it be just, oh, they're performing in one of our shows, or they do want to produce something and they want to collaborate with me, and, they want to figure out how to make that work.
Yeah.
I just want people to know that I'm there. Like, I'm someone that's familiar, that, like, I want to support people. Like, I want to be able to help, and I want to be able to make sure that people feel welcome, safe, and loved, especially at Jocks being my home space. Like, that place is home for me.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
And anybody that comes into that space, I want them to know that they should feel respected and loved and cared for, even if it's just from me. Like, that is the respect, and that is what I want people to know and understand, that, when they're working with me, that I'm really trying to push that and show that, because I want everybody to have a good time.
Me too.
I don't want you to come out and, and have a bad time or anything like that. I want it to be that safe space.
Yeah.
That's what we all deserve.
And, that's the thing too, like, we live in pretty trying times. By the time this episode comes out, it'll be a few weeks from now. But, it's when we're recording this, for those of you who are watching, it's currently the end of January 2025. We are going through a lot of change. And I think it's important now more than ever that we are here to uplift one another, that we're here to, not turn away reality, but more so to accept it and embrace it, and be able to literally have a space that is dedicated to supporting one another. And that's exactly what drag is supposed to be, at least to me anyway. Like, I think that it's all about community, and
Absolutely.
I think that it's all about gathering people in places that they know that they can go to and be safe. Like this past weekend, I'll share at Boots at the Mill, my show up in Lowell. Hi, Lowell.
Well, yes.
I'm gonna get emotional thinking about it. I had people come up to me at the end of the show, and they were just thanking me because I'm literally about to cry saying this. Holy crap! Just saying, like, thank you so much for just making a space where we feel safe and feel welcome, and that we know that we can go to without being judged. And I was just so taken aback, because I've heard it before, but, like, I think especially now during the times that we're in, like, just hearing that and, like, getting that reaffirmation, like, directly from people who bought tickets to be there, that the show had a positive impact, even if just for the night, was everything to me. And, I hope that producers in the city can hear this and take it to heart, that, we do so much more than just provide entertainment. Like, my goal is to provide entertainment and to provide that safe space so that people can sort of get away from reality for a second. Like, again, like, not like pretending that it's not there, but just to be able to go and still exist without feeling any repercussions.
No, absolutely. And I fully agree with that. And honestly, like, I also am a very sensitive person. And so when people come up to me and they're just like, thank you so much for, for what you did, or like when somebody is doing their debut first time performance, and they come up to me after the show and they're like, thank you for making this so easy for me. Thank you for, helping me have a good time. I do cry. I get in my feels so hard, because I'm like, these people are taking the time out of the day to try to do something new, not only for themselves, but they recognize what I do on my end and trying to support them. And, when they do come up and, recognize that and communicate that to me, it hits me hard. I'm a Sensi boy. Like, I cry. I'm like, you don't need to come up and thank me, but I'm so grateful.
That's exactly it. I will say it, like, from a producer standpoint, like, like, it doesn't matter what, like, hell we have to go through, like, what is going on during the show. It's the small moments like that that really keep me going. It keeps other performers going. Like, we appreciate it. Just sharing that small bit of appreciation every now and again goes a very, very long way. So
honestly, just a thank you means more to people than you would ever think. Like, honestly, the way that manners really do take precedence in a lot of situations.
Absolutely.
Like, please will get you so far. thank you will get you so far. Like I'm like
absolutely.
if you're like get me this song, I will literally look at you and be like,
ma'am. Yeah,
like what's the magic word?
Yeah.
Like I'm happy to do that, but I'm your DJ.
Yeah,
I'm your collaborator. I'm not your servant. And and it's like a respect thing. It's like a respect thing. I'm not gonna come to you and be like, start this show right now. I'm gonna be like, hey, do you want to start the show right now? Is there anything that you need? So it's like a mutual thing. It's like scratch the people's backs that you want, that you want to scratch your back. You're going to be there for other people. And when you're nice, that niceness comes back to you and it helps you. It helps you grow, because the last thing that you want to do is push away, people in a production field that could help you, that could really, help raise the bar for you. And then next thing you know, you're putting yourself in a deeper hole because you're an asshole and you're rude.
Let me tell you, we could talk about this for days too, but I will give a very good summary of this. For those of
drama,
you,
that's not mine.
What's that?
I said I love drama. That's not mine.
Well, it's not drama. It's just a blanket statement. I'm not giving a specific. But the thing is, for those of you who are watching who maybe like aren't too familiar with drag, or even if you are familiar with drag, I'm sure you know this. Drag queens, some drag artists have the biggest fucking superiority complex. It's fucking outrageous. And you can, like, I consider myself pretty easy to read. I think I'm pretty easy to clock. Like, you could absolutely read me to filth the entire night. I will laugh kiki kaka with you, but the second that you're a bitch to me, or if the second that you're a bitch to one of the staff members at my clubs, or if you're rude to other performers, or if you're rude to the DJ, like if you actually take that superiority attitude and apply it to a real-time scenario, I don't forget that shit. It's not a good look. It's not good for backstage vibes. It's not good for the people around you. Like, it just brings down the mood. Like, don't be that person. Like, I think, like you said, like, manners and kindness goes a very long way. Like, we do drag. I'm used to people reading me down. Like, it's fine. But
like, we're in a field where it's very much we want to read other people.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
We're also in a field to where we need to care about one another. And right now, with everything going on, this is the moment where we really need to be as tight-knit as possible and really be there for one another.
Yeah,
balance. And exactly, it's that balance that we all really need to be able to be strong and to be able to do this together. Mm-hmm. We're not against one another, and people need to, like, remember this. Boston, we are not against one another. Your events do not need to be this versus this. Like, we're all a community. We all need to work together. Mm-hmm. That, there doesn't need to be this massive separation. It's like collaboration, support. That's what we are there for. That's what we should work to be known for. We want other places in the country to look at Boston that, come here and see us and see our drag and see what we put out. And we want them to be like, oh my God, I wish that where we were had this. Because we are such a talented community, and people constantly travel to Boston, being a very popular place. Yeah. And we want to showcase that we're fucking amazing. Yeah. All the time. We are. And it's important to show that, because it's going to make people tell their friends and want to come out and travel back to see us. Yeah. And it helps. Again, it's all about building one another up. Like, we don't need to be beating one another down constantly.
It all connects together. See that? Yeah.
Lovely. It all connects.
Oh my goodness. All right. I think that's all that we have time for today. But PJ, thank you so much for coming on. Honestly, I think this is one of my favorite conversations that we've had. Honestly, but I will say, though, we name dropped a few people on here that I've actually done episodes with as well. So if you want to hear more about the lovely JP and Patty Beret, go watch episodes 4 and 3, respectively, of the Chicken Coop as well, because we have 10 episodes, baby. Thank you for being my 10th guest.
I'm so excited to bring this show into double digits with you.
Yes, absolutely. Ooh. PJ, where can the people find you on socials and beyond? Where can they find you?
So everybody can find me on like Instagram at ThatRadDJPJ. that is pretty much what I mostly use. If you would want to collaborate with me, you can DM me right on there. My email is also right on my page in my first pinned post. You'll know what that post is because it's literally me holding my giant, like one of my little controllers up in the air.
Yeah.
And that is a way of, I actually did that photo shoot to be like, hey, this is me serenading you with my music. This is me caring for you. Like
Yes.
not like when you're trying to win someone back and you like hold the
Yes.
radio above your head playing really like shitty music. That was like kind of the vibe that I was going for that, where I'm like
Dude.
let me win you. So like all the info is right in there. Like you can see everything on my page, That Rad DJ PJ. You'll see my cats on there. You'll see my face on there. You'll see my nipples on there. Have fun. Shoot me a message if you want to talk. I'm an open book.
Love it. Thank you so much, PJ.
Thank you, Bossi.
Of course. And in case you forgot for some reason, my name is Bossi Boots. I've been your hostess here on the Chicken Coop once again. You can find me on Instagram and beyond at Bossi Boots. That is Bossi Boots, as in the shoe. And once again, you've been tuning into the Chicken Coop, your backstage pass into the ever-changing world of drag production. Goodbye, chicken.
Goodbye, chickens.
Gee. And scene.